ॐ तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्तिः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ जयन्ती मङ्गलकाली भद्रकाली कपालिनी दुर्गा क्षमा शिवदात्री स्वाहा स्वधा नमोऽस्तुते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Sairam Lyn, Sairam from Malaysia.
Sairam Sharma, Sairam from New Zealand. Thank you, Swami, for your most insightful wisdom on the topic we are going to discuss tonight. We thank you for giving us this golden opportunity. We welcome our beloved listeners wherever you are. Welcome, Om Shri Sai Ram. Our topic is 3 important things. And this was a classic way that Swami taught. He would say, there are 3 things, etc., 4 kinds of devotees, 3 kinds of devotion, and so on. Now, today we are going to talk about what Swami called the 3 Ks, the letter K. He said, and this is in a little-known book, it was privately printed. It was taken from a talk that Swami gave called Man and Management. And it was privately printed as a small edition. I have 1 copy. I don't know where you would get it, but I'm going to quote from it. And Swami said, for your country, 3 things are important, the 3 Ks. They are Kadi, Kavi, and Karki. Kahadi, that's Khadi, represents the government. Kavi, Kavi, represents the sannyasis, the saints, the sadhus, and the gurus. And Karki, and it's spelled just like the color, Khaki, that is the color that the army wears. Khaki symbolizes the army and the police. So we have, with a country, you have to have the government, you have to have the sannyasis, the saints, the sadhus, and the gurus, and the army and the police. Swami says, when these 3 discharge their duties correctly, the country will progress. The government should be righteous. The military and police should also be appropriate and righteous. And, listen to this, the saints, the gurus, the sadhus, and the seers should teach and train the members of the society in the right direction. Now, for those of us who had discovered Bhagawan while he was still walking the earth, our main aim in life was to get to Prashanti Nilayam as often as we could, to bask in his divine presence, to witness his powerful darshan, and to long to be called in for an interview in which he would set us on the right path, give us personal guidance and a personal insight into where we were going off the rails, where we weren't doing the right thing, and this was affecting our destiny and our fate. And Swami was so personal in these interviews. He would discuss, believe it or not, your pets, your cats, your dogs, your horses, if the person was worried about them. He would discuss people's children with them. He would grant so many longing desires that people had. He knew what everyone wanted, and he granted it in so many ways, which I have described, of course, in many of my talks. However, he is now not in his physical form, and many people have said to me, Lyn, I can't feel any connection with him anymore. I think I am going to follow some other teacher, some other guru. And I say, that's fine. if you feel, you have to keep your search. It is your path. It is your journey. No one can force you to stay with Swami if you're not feeling the connection. Indeed, one friend of mine who was a very well-known publisher went to Swami, had front row darshan. Swami walked past him, looked him in the eye. He just looked at my friend. That's all he did, was eye to eye, eyeball to eyeball. And suddenly that man remembered a past life as a Buddhist monk. And then the man went, he found a monastery in India where you could chant with 5,000 Buddhist monks, and that's what he did. He went to that monastery, had the experience of being with Buddhist monks. Now, when he came back to this country, he did not abandon his job. He had a very important position as the CEO of an international company, but in his spare time, he set up a Buddhist retreat center in a beautiful mountainous area of New Zealand, and he began following the Buddhist path. Of course, he always acknowledged Swami for setting him on this path. And I want to make something very clear. There are still walking on this earth a number of great saints and seers. They will find you, or you may seek them out. You can do your own research. I'm not telling people to run away from Swami in no way, but some people do still need that guidance. Now, Mata Betty, in her later years, became quite unwell. She was, as Swami had said, this was her last lifetime. And she began to experience a lot of body pain. She had several hip replacements. Her knees were giving out. She had aches and pains. And Swami, by that time, had let Mata know that he was not going to be giving more interviews. After 1999, he began not calling so many groups. The golden days, we called them, when he was taking in group after group after group, giving 2, 3, 4, 5 interviews, were no more. It was a gradual process. It was like he was weaning us off of his physical form. And Mata Betty missed that. And so in one of her last interviews, she took a photograph of a yogi in India, and she said, "Swami, is this a good man?" And Swami looked at the photo. He said, yes, very good, very good. And he blessed the photo of that yogi. And that yogi became a great help and support to Mata Betty in her later years, when there was no more possibility of going to see Bhagawan and have interviews in person. It did not affect her devotion to Swami in the least, but there is nothing wrong with this. Now, of course, you have to use your discrimination. Now, this particular yogi, there's no need for me to give his name, had the power of blessing a bottle of water and turning it into healing water. And this was a great help to Ma in her later years with all of her pain and suffering. She never took any medicines for pain. She would only take vibhuti and this blessed water, which sustained her to the very end. And in the very last days, she relied on messages from this yogi every day. So I'm just using this as an example. Another example was our beloved Arthur Hillcoat, the beloved white lion of Swami. Now, Arthur was absolutely fully devoted to Bhagwan. And Arthur also loved to roam India and meet what he called the great ones. And he loved nothing better than roaming in the Himalayas, and through Swami's divine help, he met many, many great masters, and he spoke a lot to me about the experiences that he had, and we will probably have a talk about this in another talk. Now, why is it okay? Swami says that you should always seek the company of the good, and that would certainly include great gurus, great yogis, great saints, great seers. They're not confined to India. You will find great saints in Europe. You will find them, or they will find you. As it is said, one of the great sayings is, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that is very true. You don't need to ever lose your allegiance to Swami. I would never suggest that to anyone. But it's not a sin to go and sit at the feet and listen to the teachings of a good and great saint, seer, guru, sadhak, whatever form they may take. Remember, as Swami said, everyone who ever crosses your path is me. Sathya Sai is me. Learn to see everyone as Swami. Certainly, we have to use our discrimination. As Mata Betty used to say, if a thief comes to your door, you do not invite him in and give him your checkbook and a cup of coffee and a cake and invite him to stay the night. No, you don't do that. But you do see them as Swami, and of course you would say to that thief, sorry, I don't need you today, goodbye. And of course, if he is trying to break in, you call the police. Mata was very practical. And she would say, you must lock your doors and all of that. And then you must leave everything to Swami. I hope you have enjoyed this little talk about the 3 Ks. I have had a number of people say to me, oh, I would love to go and see so-and-so, meaning naming a great saint or seer, but I feel like I would be betraying Swami. Don't think like that. That is incorrect thinking, as Mata Betty would say. Once you are devoted to Bhagwan, nothing can separate you, because remember, he said, I live in your heart. There is no separation between you and Swami. But keeping the company of the good is something Swami always recommended, because if you're keeping the company of the bad, their badness will tarnish and rub off on you. Om Shri Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Om Tasmat Karunya Bhavena Raksha Raksha Sai Ishvara. Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Sai Ishvara Arpanamastu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.